Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna, Shri Govardhanath Ji ki Jai, Shri Vallabhacharya Ji ki Jai ho. Day 88 of our readings, and continuing with Varta 81, the story of Surdas Ji. Surdas Ji replied, I have left my own home to seek the Lord only. What would I do with your 2 cows? The landowner then spoke to Surdas as if he were an innocent child. You are the son of a Saraswat Brahmin and you have no eyes. You have no companions and you have left your home in a mood. What will you get from sitting here? You cannot see. How will you pass your time? Surdas answered, I did not leave my home for your sake. I have left my home for the sake of Lord Narayana. He cares for the whole world. He will also take care of me. Whatever will be, will be. The landowner again piped up, I am a Brahmin. Lentils and breads have been prepared in my house. Shall I bring some for you? Surdas then replied, I do not eat sakari food that has been carried from one place to another. The landowner went home and had some fried breads cooked and brought them with some milk. He also brought enough water with him and told Surdas that he need worry for nothing and that for as long as the Lord provided with him with enough to eat, he would provide for Surdas. Tomorrow morning, near this lake or wherever you wish, I will put up a hut for you. The very next morning the landowner came there and asked Surdas where he would like to live. Surdas said that he fancied living under that tree by the lake for a few days. The landowner put up a hut and also gave Surdas 1 man to help with the tasks. After that, the landowner told a few people about how Surdas was very clever and had found the cows for him. He is very good at prediction. I have put him up in a hut near the lake and have given him a servant. I am providing him with daily sustenance, so if any of you need some help, you can go to him. Hearing this, all the people of the village began to flock to Surdas. Whatever Surdas told them came true. They began to worship him in crowds. They donated lots of foodstuffs. After a time, they even built a large house for Surdas near the lake and removed the hut. They brought lots of clothes and money to him. He became known as a guru and lots of people became his disciples. They all put on tulsi neck beads and were thus known as his servants. Surdas used to sing songs of separation before his disciples, and all the instruments needed for the musical rendition were also collectively available. Living under the fig tree by that lake, Surdas reached the age of 18. One night when he was sleeping, he suddenly decided to renounce all of it. He thought to himself, I renounced my home in order to search for the Lord, but Maya has grabbed hold of me here and now. I never wanted to become famous. If I just sing the Lord's praises alone, that is enough for me. I have been spoiled. Oh, when will it be morning so that I can get out of here? When morning came, Surdas sent one of his men to his parents and called them there so that they could take over the house from him. Surdas picked up 1 single garment and his stick and walked away. All the servants that were fully absorbed in the luxuriousness of that palace stayed there. Those who had no attachment to the worldly acquisitions left there with Surdas. Surdas decided to travel to Vraja, the Lord's realm. He travelled to Mathura. He sat down on Vishram Ghat and realized that if he stayed there, people would seek him out and that he would not again become famous, and that this was not appropriate in Sri Krishna's own land. So many people in the world go through all sorts of ups and downs, and they will all come to me to try to find a solution. If this happens, the local Chobe Brahmins will be upset, so I should not stay here. Surdas left Mathura and found a ghat for the cows halfway between Mathura and Agra on the banks of Sri Yamuna and set up camp there. He was a fine singer and very good at music as well as being an accomplished clairvoyant. A lot of people used to come there to see him. He made lots of disciples and became famous throughout the region. Part 1. Surdas thus lived on Goghat. One day, not long after, Sri Acharyaji was travelling from Adel to Vraj, and he arrived at Goghat. There were many of his disciples travelling with him. They all went together to bathe in Sri Yamunaji. Sri Acharyaji thereafter performed his prayers and then sat down to cook. All the disciples also went off to cook. One servant of Surdas came there at that time. He went back to Surdas and informed him, Today Sri Vallabhacharyaji has arrived here. He is the one who defeated the impersonalists in Varanasi and in the south of India. He has established the devotional path of grace. Surdas told his man to let him know when Sri Acharyaji had finished his prasad and was comfortably sitting down. Then I will go to have his sight. The servant went over to the camp and sat down at a distance. When he saw that Sri Acharyaji was comfortably sitting down and that all his disciples were sitting round him, he went back to Surdas and informed him of this. Surdas then took all of his entourage and went to have Sri Acharyaji's sight. They all bowed low to him. Sri Acharyaji said, O Sur, Please sing the Lord's glories. Surdas bowed low to him and, accepting Sri Acharyaji's commands, sang the following verses before him. This pada is in Rag Dhanashri. O Sri Krishna, I am the most fallen of all sinners. No one can compare to me. I deserve to be known as such a sinner. I will write a letter describing how you saved the sinner Ajamil, and with that faith in my heart I shall call many other fallen souls. I shall gather them all together in one place. I shall bring more and more of them there. They will all happily compete with each other by sinning to their full satisfaction. My offering to you will be to bring them all and put them under the soles of your feet. O Lord of my life, I can bring countless souls to you. I can't even remember how many, but please, this time, uplift this Surdas and his group of fallen souls. Then he sang one more composition in Rag Dhanashri. O my Lord, I am the acknowledged supremo of all sinners. Others have been sinners for 3 or 4 days, but I was born like this. You have forgiven and saved sinners like Bhadika, the hunter, Ajamil, Ganika and Putana. You have saved everyone except me, and that pain is unbearable. Most certainly no one apart from you can purify me. Therefore I am dying of shame. But, states Surdas, the other sinners all praise me. Hearing these padas, Sri Acharyaji addressed Surdas. You are Sur, a hero, strong like the sun. So why are you just stuttering like this and avoiding the issue? Please now therefore sing something of the Lord's pastimes. Bhav Prakash, his meaning was this. Each and every embodied soul is in essence fallen, so why go on about it? Now sing of the Lord's pastimes so that we may be purified. Part 1 continued. Surdas supplicated Sri Acharyaji, but I know nothing of the Lord's pastimes. Sri Acharyaji told him to go and bathe in Sri Yamunaji and then return to him, when he would make him understand. Surdas happily went to bathe and came back in a state of purity. Sri Acharyaji blessed him by initiating him with the Lord's name and Brahma Sambandh. After that, Sri Acharyaji read him his commentary, Sri Subodhaniji, on Srimad Bhagavatam, 12:12, the synopsis of all the 12 books of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhav Prakash. When Sri Acharyaji initiated Surdas with the Lord's name, the 8-syllable mantra, all of the impurities of his whole life were removed, and he attained 7 stages of devotion, that is, the first 7 stages, but not Sakyam nor Atmanivedanam. When he initiated him with the Brahma Sambandh, Surdas immediately attained perfection in the full 9 stages of devotion. The only thing left for him to attain was loving devotion, and this happened through the recitation of the synopsis of the 10th canto. All of the pastimes of the Supreme Person became clearly established in Surdas's heart, and his loving devotion was also perfected. Part 1 continued. Sri Acharyaji firmly established the knowledge of the entire Subodhaniji in Surdas's heart. Then only he became qualified to sing of the Lord's glories. From the synopsis of the 10th canto, all the Lord's Leelas entered his heart. How do we know this? In the Sri Subodhaniji commentary on the 10th canto, in the auspicious prayers to begin section, Sri Acharyaji wrote, Namami Hridaye Sheshe Leela Kshirabdi Shayanam Lakshmi Sahasra Leela Bhe Sevyamanam Kalanidhim. I bow down to Sri Krishna, who is an ocean of all divine arts, who is served in his pastimes by thousands of Sri Lakshmis, and who rests on the ocean of milk of the endless pastimes in his heart. According to this shloka, Surdas composed the following poem and sung it to Sri Vallabhacharyaji. Pada, Rag Bilaval. Come on, O the bird that is my heart, let's fly to the lake of the beloved Lord's lotus feet, where there is no separation from his love and no night of ignorance, only union with that ocean of joy. From the sons of Brahma, the creator, Shanaka, etc., Hans Avatar, the swan manifestation, Mean Avatar, the fish, down to all those who praise you, live there in the light of your toenails that shine like the sun. The lotuses there are always open since night never darkens, and the lotus-like Vedas are sung endlessly by devotees like bees enjoying their fragrance. In this lake flourished liberation, and its fruit like pearls in the form of perfected action. Come drink this perfectly pure water. The bird of stupidity has no use here, for this lake is beautified by Sri Hari, playing together with thousands of Lakshmis. Surdas now states that puddle of sensual pleasure holds no attraction, for we now exclusively crave this ocean. He composed this according to the verse in the 10th canto, see 2nd line above, exactly as in this verse Surdas wrote in the poem, Jahan Shri Sahasra Sahita Nit Kridata Shobita Suraj Das. This indicates that to Surdas were revealed all the pastimes through the Sri Subodhiniji. Hearing this, Sri Acharyaji became very happy. He saw that Surdas had realized the pastimes of the Lord. Sri Acharyaji then told Surdas to sing something about Sri Nandale. Surdas sang the description of the celebration of Sri Krishna's birth. Padre Deva Rag Dev Gandhar. Hearing the news that an extraordinary son had been born in Nandaraji's house, astrologers, pundits and other qualified personages gathered happily in Gokul. Arriving there, they had the sight of that child who is the Supreme Lord himself. They realized that they had thereby received the fruit of all their previous lives' meritorious acts. A pillar of auspiciousness was thus established there. The astrologers carefully looked at the child's horoscope and sang many auspicious Vedic chants. 1. The Vrajavasis ladies got dressed up in new clothes and applied black eye makeup. They wore their best blouses, anointed their foreheads with red powder, and wore lovely necklaces to adorn their hearts. They put on gold bangles and decorated gold offering plates most auspiciously, placing in them incense, yogurt, and red powder. 2. They came out in groups of friends looking most fine, like lines of red munaya birds escaped from a cage. They were singing auspicious songs in groups of 5 or 10, with their faces blooming like lotuses at sunrise. 3. They did not notice as their veils flew up from their hearts, exposing their colourful saris. They decorated their faces and partings with red powder. They wore lovely rings and ornaments in their ears, and their braids were tied loosely. The flowers tied into their hair dropped like showering clouds. 4. It was these gopis who reached Nanda Baba's house before anyone else. They were filled with bliss. When they were invited inside, they all fell at the child's feet. One gopi unveiled her face and, standing up, looked at Sri Krishna and began to give the following blessings. Long live Yashoda's darling, who has fulfilled all her wishes. 5. Most fortunate is this day, most blessed is this night, and this very hour and moment. Meritorious is the womb of Sri Yashoda, Queen Yashoda, whose feminine fortune is fulfilled, and she has brought forth this child who rewards everyone with great joy. She has established this fine lineage and removed everyone's heart's anxiety. 6. The cowherds all arrived there, called their children and cows to come. They gathered gunja beads and other roots from the forest, ground them together and painted designs on their bodies and faces. They were carrying pots of butter and yogurt on their heads and singing all sorts of new songs of celebration. The duff and mridanga drums were playing along with the cymbals, and they all crowded into Nanda Baba's home. 7. One danced as they all watched, and some sprinkled yogurt coloured with turmeric all over. It was as if it were the rainy season and the clouds were raining down a river of ghee and milk. Everywhere there was something wonderful to see and play. They were all completely absorbed in the nectar of this bliss. It was an indescribable scene. 8. Some of them run up to Nanda Baba and clasp his feet. Some laugh together in groups and laugh, and then embrace each other. Some take off their jewellery and give it to anyone who asks. Some pour milk, yogurt and butter on each other's heads and enjoy in this way. 9. Nanda Baba bathes and stands holding holy kusha grass in his hands. He calls for some sandal paste and anoints all the Brahmins there. He performs the Nandi Mukha Shraddha ceremony to honour his ancestors. Thus his worry about his continuing lineage was assuaged. He gifts new clothes to all the elders and Brahmins and touches their feet. 10. The herds of cows could not be counted. He called the young healthy ones and those who had small calves, the ones who grazed on the banks of Sri Yamunaji, in whose udders there was copious milk. He adorned them with silver on their hooves, copper on their backs and gold on their horns. He gifted them to Brahmins, who happily then doubled their blessings. 11. To his friends and relatives he speaks most pleasantly and happily. He mixes musk, sandal and camphor and anoints their foreheads. He gives them super necklaces and fine clothes of all different colours and styles. It was as if the rain was falling in the month of Ashad and the frogs and peacocks were calling out. 12. Bards and minstrels filled the square. Do not forget us, they say. Nanda Baba was so happy that he gave them whatever they asked for. They were all completely satisfied. 13. Then Rohini called out for jewellery and lots of lovely saris and gifted them all to the Vraja ladies, whichever ones they liked. They were so very happy as they returned to their husbands' homes. As they left, they gave great blessings, all in their own special way. 14. Celebrating the child Krishna's birth. The child Krishna's birth, all the houses in the village rang out with the sound of small and large drums of every type. The devotees decorated their doorways with flags and auspicious urns. From that day forth they were all blessed with wealth and prosperity. The poet Surdas now says, those who worship the Lord Sri Hari will attain this same fate. Jai Shri Radhe, Aaj ke Anand ki Jai Ho, Shri Vallabhadesh ki Jai Ho. We will continue tomorrow with part 1 continued of Varta 81, the story of Surdas. Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Radhe.